having all these systems in place, let's take a very simple example. Let's take customer satisfaction. We all deal with banks, and we all are satisfied at some point of time. So, in my example, we have a survey whereby customers are not satisfied with call center performance, and I'm sure all of us at some point of time have a problem with the bank's call center. So, pretty much we might have to do this. So, you want to improve the call center, you have a target of 8, you want to go from 80 to 90, and you want to reach a situation where this metric is now improved. Okay? I've taken an engineer's approach, so I've taken one objective and I've sliced it right into it, so, rather than taking something very big. So, we've selected a few KPIs. We've got the average speed to answer the phone call, the abandoned rate of incoming calls, the average talk time on the calls, your first call resolution rate, and then of course your monitoring rate. So from a KPI point of view, you're 88.5%, and I don't know whether you can see that, but you're 88.5%. You have one KPI which is red, the other is kind of okay. So from a KPI point of view, you're doing a fairly good job. You've reached from 80 to 88%, but things are going well. And you are monitoring the trend. So far, so good. You have initiatives which are selected, so you are recruiting additional call center operators, you are upgrading your call center software, you are training operators on your new call center software, and you are upgrading your knowledge base. So that will then give people a better better knowledge in terms of improving your first call. And then of course you have your transformation program. And if you look at it here, we have reviews. Review is kind of ahead of schedule. So KPIs are good average. You have your initiatives kind of doing better than schedule, or a slightly not a big problem. And then you come to the risks. So now coming to the risks, you have agent absenteeism. So the agents is too short, okay, staff attrition. You have poor first call resolution rate, so you have people who are not really satisfied with most of the second time of support, and then you have agent engagement. So all this is now identified as a risk. And of course, technology issues. With any call center, technology issues is a risk. And if you look at your risks, you have multiple risks, and you're looking at each risk from an individual, independent point of view. Now, looking at each one and considering that there is a risk manager, somebody is doing initiatives, somebody is doing objectives, what happens when you start putting it all together? So the common challenges which most organizations face, that you always have the objectives and initiatives usually. Okay? But objectives are not very linked to the risks. And the risks are not related to the initiatives either. So you kind of find out in a mess. You're not really taking a decision which is coherent, and of course that can lead to situations where the strategy is not executed in a holistic manner. Again, like I said, risk at the initiative level are not recorded, and somebody's been taking a risk very similar times kind of big safe and no use that they are. Okay. So this entire thing is running in silos. Now what we've done is we've said that okay, enough is enough, let's put it all together. And we created what's called the quadrant approach. So the quadrant approach is nothing but a unified view of integrating objectives, initiatives, and your risks. And if you really look at it, if I'm looking at my objective, we have 4 quadrants rather than a standard black light. So looking at each quadrant, the upper left quadrant is rating on traditional objective performance. The upper right quadrant is the risk performance or rated performance. The lower left is your initiative performance, and the lower right is your initiative forecast. Now, what happens looking at this? Let's go back a bit. Looking at this, I know that so far everything is fine, but my initiatives may not be doing so well in the future. So it gives me a completely different complexion and a different perspective when I'm looking at one single objective. And imagine your entire balance scorecard with each strategic objective or goal or initiative with the 4 quadrants. It starts becoming a lot more meaningful in terms of integrating information. And it doesn't take it away from the balance scorecard approach in any way. It is still the same balance scorecard approach. So let's look at drilling down to the objective. So if I drill down to the objective, I will get my objective performance, I will get my risks, and I will get my initiative performance as well as the initiative future forecast. And from each one of these, I can go down into, for example, my KPIs. So from the objectives, you come down to the KPI performance, and of course from there you can go down to the KPI, which is pretty much what you do on a standard performance management approach. But now coming down to the risk performance, you will get your risk heat maps, and more than the risk heat maps, you can then drill down into your individual risk. Now here, you have a consolidated risk indicator, and then you can also have your action plans or risk actions which are available, so it becomes easy for you to understand, yes, there's a high risk, and you know there's something being done about the risk, or there's nothing being done about this, but at least to understand that very, very clearly. Now, and this is where the entire circle starts coming together. So you relate the risk back to the KPI. So coming back to your key performance indicators, I will look at my abandon rate of incoming calls, and then it's linked to my first call resolution rate, and I'm looking at my average speed, and I can see that, okay, maybe it's related to agent absenteeism. So you have fewer agents are getting tired, and that's why they just don't want to pick up the phone because it's all pretty, completely wasted. So at the end of the day, you are now trying to understand the cause and the effect of the risks and the reasons for non-performing of the KPIs of the objectives. So similarly, we can also relate the respective initiatives back to the risks. So if I'm looking at my initiatives, I can have my initiatives of updating my knowledge base, okay? And if I have my knowledge base initiative is probably not up to speed or behind that, then I'm going to have poor first call resolution. So my risk is going to be high. So I can understand my initiative is ahead of time, or doing well, then my risk is lower. If I'm having, for example, my upgrade of call center software, if that is ahead of time, or if it's behind schedule, then maybe I'll have technology issues. So I don't have technology issues. So what we've done is we've created a matrix of our risks. We've created a matrix between the risk objectives and the initiatives, so that you can look at the performance in any particular manner which suits you. So starting from a PM, you can look at from a PMO point of view, the initiative view, and the risks. Or you're looking at the performance from the balance scorecard, and then the objectives, the initiatives, the KPIs, and the risk. Or you're just looking at it from a risk management point of view, looking at the risk dashboard. And coming down to the initiative performance, we look at the, you can see that in future we have currently things are ahead of schedule, but going forward in future, we can see that some of the initiatives are going into red from a forecast point of view, and some of the initiatives, it's supposed to be good, it doesn't look great. So you can also have a situation where you do not have a forecast. So sometimes not having a forecast is also a risk where the project manager says, are you going to perform on time? I don't know. And what happens? They don't know that whether they're going to finish on time, they're unsure. And so we try to take into consideration real life scenarios. We implemented this at multiple organizations, including Ashkar, here in Qatar. And this has allowed us to ensure from a decision-making point of view, the management is enabled with information from multiple frameworks coming into the performance, into the risk, from the initiatives, and then give a single view onto the strategy project or the board, depending on what we call it. And so, very quickly in conclusion, the quadrant approach helps us to put together multiple frameworks which is running within the organization together, and it avoids the disadvantages of having all of these frameworks running simultaneously. I've seen there are attempts to integrate, there's a lot of talk to integrate it together, but the framework allows you to put it together in a step-by-step manner to make sure that everybody is looking at it on a single screen. everybody is looking at the same set of data, your risk registered are now integrated with your strategy, and at the end of the day, it provides us a holistic view of performance and hopefully very good experience. That's what balance scorecard is all about. That has been any question on this.